I'm going to sneeze. And we're live. Wow. So we usually have an intro video, but our countdown went away because I took it off. Hi,
Well,
Joe.
welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Witch's Craft. I'm Tequila Joe. Yes, I really am this brown. Don't worry about it.
And I
That's
really am
what
this
I
white.
am. And we are joined once again by Gwen of Avalon Visions, and somewhere in the back we do have our garage goblin. So, Gwen, why don't you go ahead and say hello to everybody?
Howdy. How are you doing?
All
I'm
righty.
here. Here I am.
Anything happen at the shop? You got anything going on this week or this past week?
Well, we had our fair this past week. It was pretty good. I had a good time. Got some cool things in from a couple of our vendors, and we had some pretty cool projects out there. We
Awesome, awesome,
always
awesome.
have cool people.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. So, just to recap, this oh, that was our garage goblin making a little appearance.
Garage Robin? Oh, it was. What's that
Yep.
say? Okay. I know. I don't have any idea what she's doing either, but there she is.
Yay. All right. So, just a quick recap. Last week we were talking about entering the spooky season, and we were dealing with los espookies, as we call them. Telling a few stories here and there. We didn't quite get around to talking about what happens when the spookies actually get to your place, or let's say you moved into a place and somebody's there that technically shouldn't be. So, um, we're going to continue with that this week. Um, and even if what you're dealing with is not paranormal per se, even if it's just energetic, if it's something that you guys might be dealing with as far as feeling just that sense of like either being negative or just being like caved in on. We're going to talk about how to actually work with different tools, different methods to cleanse all of that out because you guys really don't need that. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, to make the connection from last week, there was one more story that I didn't quite get to, and this is more of a really personal account. As a matter of fact, it actually happened in this place where I'm at right now. Um, so I'll get right into it. So this was back before, ooh, really before I got into everything as far as energy work, as far as working with the spirits, working with into my craft. This was when I was fairly younger, and so on one particular night, we had company in this house. Um, we had uh, relatives. I had a couple of cousins over. At the time, it's important to note that I had two little ferrets. I had two little ferrets, two little uh, furry little rodents, long rodents, just kind of running around here. They're kind of key to the story. So what happens is, um, we in that company we had a child at that time, um, and he was playing with the ferrets. So I left with a couple of my cousins. We came back to the house after dropping one of them off. Everybody was gone. Uh, my parents were here. But the strange thing is, when my cousin and I came back to the house, immediately we were greeted by my mom, who came at us uh, very with a very worried look on her face, and just she was frightened. She was absolutely frightened. And her first question was, did any of you guys hurt yourselves? And we said, no, we're totally fine. And she asked, well, what about your other cousin? Did he hurt himself? Like, no, it's fine. And she said, well, come here. Come here. You got to see this. You got to see what we found. And this was just a few minutes ago. So we follow her into the bathroom, into the main bathroom that's at the end of the hall.
Mm-hmm.
So when you walk into the bathroom, immediately on the left, there's the closet. In front, you've got the shower. To the right, you immediately have the sink and the toilet. Now, above the toilet, we had a towel rack. So, what my mom was really, really afraid of, well, she could not understand or couldn't explain. Between the sink and the toilet was a rather large puddle of blood.
Oh.
It was just there. It seemed like something had just dripped and it just kind of like spread out, but it was almost in a perfect circle. It was just
And
there.
nobody had to cut themselves or
Nobody had cut themselves. We double checked everything. We
that is
called
weird.
we called the relatives, asked them, hey, was your boy okay? And they checked him out. They said, yeah, no, he's fine. I checked my ferrets. My ferrets were asleep in my sock drawer, which is for some reason where they loved to get into. And they were totally fine. So
Nobody had a bloody nose.
we couldn't explain that one at all. Nobody had bled at all. So
Okay.
my dad took it upon himself to go ahead and wipe that up.
Oh yeah.
He just cleaned it up. He took a towel, threw the towel away, just sanitized the area, and it was fine. So that night, my cousin was actually staying over. So so we were just kind of hanging out in the living room.
How old were you at the time?
Uh, late teens, early 20s, somewhere in there. So about that time, about 15 minutes later, after that had already been cleaned up, my mom comes back out and she says, what just happened? So we were just kind of stunned. We're like, no, nothing. We're just hanging out here in the living room. She said, well, you need to come back over to the bathroom. And we said, okay, what happened now? She said, just look, please go look. This time, in the same spot, there was a bigger puddle of blood.
Ew.
Not only that, the towel rack that I mentioned had a white towel on it. That towel was completely drenched and dripping.
That is weird. How long had you lived in the house at that time?
They'd had it since about 80, 87, so quite some time. We're looking at about maybe 20-ish or so years at the time. So,
And what was there anything that led up to that?
the only thing that led up to it was that when my cousins and I left the house, my parents were engaged in a conversation with my aunt and uncle about what gets left behind after somebody is dead.
Ew.
So they were talking about, well, what happens with this? Do you have a will? Do you have this and this and this? Well, this person had that. So
Did you
that
guys
was
build that house or was it second? Did you buy it from
it was already built. There were some weird things that happened leading up to the point where my parents were actually able to acquire the house.
Okay.
But nothing like that. So that was that story. We never understood. We never could explain where that blood came from, but it was literally dripping from the towel above the toilet, and that towel was drenched, and the puddle, the
There
second
was
puddle.
no like air vent or something above it that could have had a dead animal in it or something. I
The
mean, this
air
is
vent,
what we do as ghost investigators, right? You look for what the logic is before you
well,
assume. So,
the vent is actually towards the center, so if anything would have been dripping from there, it would have fallen
okay,
directly in the
fair
center
enough.
of the bathroom.
And there were no shooting victims running around the place looking for cover that could have climbed in or out of a window.
Uh, we're not those Mexicans, so
Well, you can have that in any neighborhood. I mean, hey, there's
no,
been fugitives. You believe me. I
no,
mean, think about OJ. I mean, he was like driving along with. There was a nice neighborhood. I mean, it doesn't have to be. Oh, was just the first thing that came to mind. Was
no,
where could you have a murder like Beverly Hills, like Los
no.
Gatos? There's murder stories in Montecito. Hey,
Well,
we had a neighbor
even
that jumped out his window by mistake. Yeah, Rio Del Mar.
yeah.
That's another story. No haunted.
So yeah, so there was really no explanation for that. It was just so bizarre. And my cousin, literally, this was a big, or he is a big, tough, like heavy metal guy. He jumps into all the mosh pits. He literally said he will never stay in this house again.
So
That
he's
scared
never come back.
me. He's been back to visit during the day, and that was years ago. So
You know,
he has not
I
been
mean,
back.
stuff happens in the daytime too, kids.
It can, it can.
It can. It's quieter at night. It's easier at night. And you notice it because you're by yourself or you're in a quiet zone. But yes, that does
Right.
happen in the day.
So
That's
the
quite a
other,
story. I do believe, I know you, so I believe it. But oh my God, if somebody had said this happened, I'd be like, really? But I always look for for the logical explanation.
of course, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we did, as paranormal investigators.
Hmm.
There were some that we were able to uh, prove. There was a scientific explanation for it.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
debunk it. That's the term I was looking for. So the other story that actually happened, that I was able to experience, was um, not as graphic, but it was still really interesting. So the other bedroom that sits now as my collection room, my Star Wars collection, when I was still studying for college here, I had some pretty late nights just working on stuff, working on reports, working on homework, whatever it was. And so my parents were asleep in the next room.
Same
So what
house?
happened? What's
Same
that?
house.
Same house. So
Okay.
what happened this particular night?
Oh, now I want to go there, and I want to go there, right? Okay. You might get me to Texas after all.
So in this room, um, as soon as you walk in, immediately to the left, that was the space that had a closet. So the
Okay.
closet doors were removed, um, and in there was like a little nook for my computer, everything else that I used, to work on stuff. Had a little desk in there.
Mhm.
So in that little nook, um, that's where I was sitting. And at this particular night, what happened was that the bedroom door opened up,
Okay.
and I expected that, you know, either one of my parents was going to walk in. Um, I expected them to say something. Well, they didn't say anything at all. They waited like 5 seconds. I just kind of looked over. I had to lean back and look over, and nobody came in. I
Okay.
was like, okay. So I got up, looked around. Uh, their their bedroom door was open. I could see they were asleep. Looked around. none of the cats were around. There was no we had dogs, but they were outside. Um, so there was nobody there. So I thought, well, that's kind of weird.
Okay.
Walked back in, um, and I sat back down. But when I walked back in, I made sure that that door was closed. Now that door has always had a bit of friction. So when you turn the knob, you really have to push it, really push it hard to open that up. So when I sat back down, I kept on working, and maybe again about another 15 minutes later, I literally heard the doorknob turn, and that door shoved itself open. It just swung open again.
Okay.
One more time. I waited for somebody to come in.
Close behind you? I'm kidding.
Oh yeah, no, I'm used to them now. I put them to work now. But so yeah,
You
no.
got I,
So what happened was, I got up one more time, looked around, saw that nobody was there. There was no reason for that door to actually turn, for that
oh,
door to turn and push itself
uh,
open. I was done for the night. Shut everything off, turned the lights off, got back in this room, and I was like, yeah, okay, no, I'm done. I'm done. I will not go in there until the morning.
sometimes
So
they just want you to be smart about your bedtime. I mean, seriously. Like if I forget my cell phone here, we got a big burly guy that kind of makes a big shadow, and I'm like, okay, what am I forgetting? And I have to do the check. He's very helpful though.
well, sometimes they're helpful. Other times
Anyone who's
they
seen him,
are. Other times they throw stuff at you.
not helpful.
Like literally, what happened to my dad one time that he had a drumstick thrown at his head. He just happened to wake up and he looked
Chicken
at a figure
drumstick
on the shelf,
or a drum like a
a
drumstick.
drum,
Oh,
like an actual drumstick. There was a figure that I had holding some drumsticks. Literally, one of them flew off the shelf and flew at his head.
that's not
It
terribly
did
sweet
not,
of the
did not
ghost.
straight down. It actually went across the room. So
Okay,
stuff like that happens.
so you
So
got a bit of the poltergeisty stuff there.
there was a bit. So
Has that
that is
cleared up over time at all? Sometimes it does.
over time, yes. And thankfully, coming back to visit, I've brought a few ideas with me, a few tools which we're going to talk about. And it's kind of helped to clear it up little by little. There's still a lot of work to be done.
A lot,
Uh,
yeah.
but actually, on that note, why don't we talk about what we can do to actually help with cleansing the home, cleansing yourself? What do you have for us?
Well, I do clear houses. I have been known to help people when they have a problem. Like I would probably want to go to your house and do a thorough thing with it and do a little mediumship work. But if you don't know how to do that, um, there are things you can do. For one thing, a very simple thing, which is aside from any other tool that you may have. If you look at um, around like the room that you're sitting in and you go like there's a big debris pile of clutter over there and stuff like that, that's a kind of a concept like feng shui where you just kind of want to clean it up and let the energy flow freely and not have little pockets of blocked energy. And if you do have little pockets of blocked energy, it's going to be a little tougher to get it cleaned or to keep it clean because it's kind of it's kind of like you want the energy to be able to flow freely and not collect negativity, and really dark and dirty spaces tend to collect negativity. So you want to drag yourself into the light a little bit and keep your space clean. And I got to say right now my house needs to be cleaned up, and I think I got a little thingy there because I got a TV that's turning on, and a lamp that's turning on, etc. And I know what the problem is. I call it Tom's. I call it my husband's sloth demon. Is hard at work. It's not really a demon, but I call it his sloth demon because it bothers him, and I put it on him anyway. So on the other hand, there's things you can do that are very simple tools if you already have a clean space, and a lot of people do. I'm not the best housekeeper right now because I'm working all the time. But if I need to, and I may do this at my house, there's a few things that you can do. Any sage will do. This is sage that somebody gave me, and just to show you how to light it, you can reuse it. You can see that that's already burnt. So you get your match, and you it went out. Whoops. Sometimes you got to get your match and do it a couple of times. Let's see here.
Yeah, the ghosts be like, nope, not doing that.
Sometimes they're really hard to keep lit. Okay.
Yeah.
So you would go. So this is one that I've used it a few times. It was gifted to me. It's not the type I utilize usually, but I like it here because I don't need to do much. So you go up. I'm going to show you kind of here. You go up and over. If you can like set it down and go into the corners. And you want to say sort of, there is no evil or negativity that can stay within these walls, right? If it's bad, you can see it's still burning. If it's really bad, you can take it and you can kind of like open drawers and you can kind of waft it into drawers, and it will burn out on its own. You don't usually need to put it out. Now, the thing about this is it's very effective. It's homegrown. This is my homegrown. Y'all, I know what you think of as homegrown. This is what I think of as homegrown. Anyway, I do carry this, obviously carry this in my store. I also carry sage branches for like about $1, and you can literally pull like a leaf off. If you don't have a wand and you have grandfather sage, you can pull off a leaf, and you can do almost an entire house with something this size.
Mm-hmm.
You may not have enough to continue to, burn it out, but fresh dried sage is really effective. And I have heard people say, oh, that's cultural appropriation. I don't know a single Native American that isn't happy to share this with us white folks. And yes, I am this white, but you can also, he's brown, I'm white. This comes from brown people. It's a good tool. Use it. Am I right? Yes.
Yes, and there's a little tip to that also, which kind of gives you an idea whether it's working or not. When you are burning it, if you get to a certain spot in the space that you are cleansing, if you see that all of a sudden there's a huge waft of like the smoke coming off of that, that's where it's doing the most work. That's probably where you need to focus on.
And
Once it actually like starts to dissipate a little bit, then you know that it's actually done.
And I want to say also too that there's another thing about that. Sometimes when you are dealing with a space, it will literally burn out multiple times in one room. You need to focus on that room. A thing about that is some people will they'll start at the back door, go all the way to the front of the house, or they'll start upstairs and go all the way downstairs, or they'll start downstairs and go all the way upstairs. But if you've got a fairly good sized house, you want to go through all the rooms and you start up and around the corners. If you got a problem, if you just need a little bit of fresh air, that's different. But there is no evil or negativity that can stay within these walls, and up and around the wall, into the closets. Yes, the closets. Waft it under the bed. You got a problem under the bed? Waft it under. You get into the crevices in the corners, and then you go from room to room to room, because you're really blessing the house is what you're doing. You're kind of bringing that space. And the thing about it is that you want it to you don't want to choke yourself out, but you want it to go like chase it out a window or chase it out the front door. If you're an apartment complex, chase it out a window because you can't miss this. What do you want to do? Make the hall worse, you know? So you want to chase it out. And the other thing that you want to do, there's if you're in a house and you're in control, I have one friend, she opens it once to let the evil out, once to balance it out, and once to let the good energy in afterwards. So it's a 3 times: open the front door, close it, open the front door, close it, open the front door, close it. And she is pretty effective at this. And you could say, anything that's in here that doesn't belong, go to where you belong.
Hmm.
If you do belong, if there's stuff there that does belong, and it's not negative, it could stay. It could be very helpful. I mean, we have a couple little ghosts here, all stage in the world, because we don't care. We could chase them out, but why would we do that? They're helpful, they're good. Okay, so
Sometimes they actually are. Yeah.
yeah, and it feels really good in the space. And if somebody was going to come in that was really negative, I would be willing to bet they might not like the energy they were met with. Now, there's another tool. Look at that. This is Palo Santo. And it is easier to light these things with a lighter because they stay lit better. Okay, there we go. I'm going through a lot of matches here.
Yes, but the caveat to that, in the old traditions, is that at least I've heard, that it's better, more natural to light it with a match than actually with a lighter.
I agree, and that's why I'm using matches.
Yes.
But if you've got a stick of Palo Santo,
Hmm.
it's easier with a lighter because it stays lit longer.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's sort of either way. Realistically, it's the smoke. So this you do the same way that you do with the sage. Um, and the thing about this is that it's a little more subtle. It smells a little bit like licorice. It does it's kind of like and I'm letting it burn out. It's going to burn for a while. It's kind of like some things maybe you get a Catholic priest for, right? Because it seems like that's the energy. Some things you get a Native American for because truly it's a spot that is, you know, needs that, right? So and so some things are going to be a little easier to move out with sage. Some things will be a little easier to move out with Palo Santo, and you can use it. You can use your Palo Santo for other things. For instance, you could set an intention, and you can also sort of um, I I think, and I like anything that becomes charcoal. So you can also use it to afterwards write something like in charcoal. So you could do a symbol. One symbol that you can do is like a circle with the 4 directions, or
Hmm.
pentagram so you can use it to write a little bit with. You could write some sigils with this. You ever tried that, Joe?
I was going to say,
Yeah.
if you guys go back to some of our other episodes,
Yep.
we talk about sigils.
Yep.
This would be a perfect tool for
Sigils.
drawing the sigils and setting that intention. So
Now,
yeah.
what I don't have with me, because I simply don't have it in the store, and I'm probably going to bring it in at some point again, is what you can do to follow up. It's typically that you would follow up with something like
Mhm.
sweetgrass, and you would fill the space back up. And that is something that if you chase everything out, then I would like you to consider to use sweetgrass. And by the way, you light this bundle the same way you light the first one, but this is my $8 bundle that I'm going to put up front again because it belongs to the store. So, um, if you're going to burn sage and you clear out your house and you bring in something nice, some nice energy, this is the way to do it. The nice energy, bring it back in. it's a good thing. And you can use incense. Sweetgrass is very standard. Again, and that's like a long braided rope. Sweetgrass is beautiful. I don't know if I have it on my website right at the moment, but sometimes I do. But the thing about what you want to do is you want to remember that if you're chasing out all the negativity, something is going to come in and replace it, or maybe it's just going to fill back up again. So another smoke item that will bring in joy, an incense that you really like is used. Incense is used for that. Sometimes some of the better incenses are like the Nepalese ones because they bring in a very high vibration. Some of them do, and sometimes it's just a scent you like. You like vanilla. Get a piece of vanilla incense. Vanilla has its uses. It's a flavor. We could go back to the cooking episode and we recover what all herbs and all spices have a use. So, what do you like? What smells good to you, and what is good for your space? Cross-reference these things. My mother was a librarian. She was a reference librarian first, and then she read libraries. But point is, if you don't know what it is, look it up. If you like a scent, smell it, bring it in. And as far as cleansing your home, you just go from one end to the other, and you get every little crevice and space, and that is the best way to do it. And there are other tricks that you can use to cleanse yourself. Sage smoke over you. Perfume is another thing. I mean, there's things. Oils. We carry a lot of oils on the website. Avalon Visions has its own line. And I didn't even put that up today, but all essential oils can be used to help keep you in certain vibrations. And actually, we have a really full line of oils on my website now. We also have a lot in the store. Some that I have that are in brand, and some that are exclusive to to Avalon. So it's other places. Anyway, and a whole other topic. At some point, we should talk about oils. But Joe, I know that you've got some tricks that are more up your bit. I mean, my ancestry, one thing, you've got some good tricks that I know a little bit about. What do you like to do to cleanse a house to keep it clean?
Before I get into that, just kind of reiterate, yes, what you were saying. The idea behind burning something sweet after burning the sage or the Palo Santo is that like those tools are specifically for uh, basically like inoculating everything. So it's like you're making everything sterile, so to speak. So it's just the negative is cleared out. Once you clear that out, you want to bring something sweet so you can get, like you said, the incense. And that, by the way, if you are witching on a budget, you can always find them at the dollar store, the Dollar Tree.
Yeah, you can. I mean, we sell incense by the stick, 15 cents. You need a stick of incense?
Yes.
We have it.
Yeah. But that's the idea with that. Like just to have that sweet smelling, that sweet aroma that's going to bring in the sweetness that you need in your space in your home. So there was that. Also, you brought up a good point, where you kind of wonder like uh, which direction should you go if you are, even if you're a Christian or you're Catholic, okay? You want to use this and this. Maybe you want to use holy water.
Holy water is an
But
effective
also,
tool. You got to believe in it, though, guys.
yeah.
If you
So,
don't believe in it, it's not going to work because your intention is not there.
but there's another point that I want to make about this, and that's the fact that, like you said, there are some that say, well, the sage has to be given by anybody who's indigenous, and so the question is, do you go the religious route, or can you go with honoring the ancestors? And there's a good point here because a lot of the times, if you're dealing with something that is in your home, once you kind of figure out where this is coming from, you can figure out what that entity is going to listen to. If it's something that is uh, from the recent past, it's possible that you can get it out using Christian methods. Again, whatever you believe in, you can get a priest, you can get whoever. But there also is that thought there also is that fact. Actually, I should say, we're all on native lands.
Yeah, we
We're
are.
all with we're all dealing with ancestors, not maybe not all, but we're dealing sometimes with people that are older, that are beyond the Christian religion. Therefore,
Pre-Christian.
if
Yeah.
if you're dealing with someone or something that is pre-Christian, all of those prayers that come from the Bible, anything that the priest is using is not going to work because
Not
those
likely.
entities
Yeah.
are older. Those beings are much older. They have their own belief system.
And I
They're,
want to interject that sage tends to work on a broad spectrum just because it is not a pleasant thing for certain types, not cultural, but types of entities. So it does work even if the guy is a church Bible thumping disincorporate, it's probably going to chase him out. But so would holy water in that case. However, holy water is not going to work against an ancient Native American entity. And it's just not,
right,
I mean, well, maybe if you really got the juice, but I don't know. And there's things that I couldn't clear out, and there's things that Joe couldn't clear out. So, seek help if you are unsuccessful. Go
right.
on. I'm sorry. Didn't mean to cut you off there. It's a
Uh,
fact.
that's fine. Um,
Yeah.
okay, so back on track here for
Yeah.
as far as the methods. Let's say that you do come from a Christian background, from a Hispanic background. Um, there are certain ways that you can go about cleansing yourself, um, or you can get somebody who's a little more spiritual to do it for you. And typically, that is somebody from the older generation. So, there is one particular practice that is not only practiced in the Hispanic culture. I believe there are several other cultures that do the same thing. Um, and even though we joke about it, there's an awesome guy that I love to follow. He's always saying that he's the Latinos against spooky shit. And he
I like
always makes
that.
it.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
he always makes those jokes. You get your fabuloso, you get that your all-purpose cleaner. You put that into a spray bottle, and you can spray los spookies with that. You get a chancla. You can throw the chancla at them. He's got all kinds of wacky ways. It's
And
hilarious.
what's
Um,
chocolate and fabulosa? For those who do not know,
the fabuloso is an all-purpose cleaner. Think of it as like the Mexican version of Pine Sol. That's really what it is.
is it
So
really powerful?
so
Like kind of like you can buy it in a jar at the supermarket?
yeah. Oh yeah, it's a huge jug. It's usually like a purple bottle. You'll find it at the Mexican supermarkets.
Well,
Uh,
and you know what? That kind of makes sense because again, sometimes it's about just cleaning
oh yeah,
and
yeah,
bringing in a scent. So
yep.
it probably has properties in it that would that the little Ockenbucky shits don't want to. Did I say shit on them? The little spookies don't want to know about.
So yeah.
Hopefully.
Anyway, so that guy's hilarious. But he brings a lot of that. So I mean, you can try different methods. It's just funny, but so one of the practices that is actually embedded and I'm going to show you because I have the stuff here.
Okay.
Do what you call the limpia de huevo. So you
I know
use the
about it. I know about that.
um, so what you do basically, and I mean, my culinary background told me to go ahead and just clean the egg, just give it a quick wash because E. coli doesn't actually come from what's inside; it comes from the outside. I mean,
Comes,
literally, the chicken poops this out. So,
it comes from
uh,
the shell.
so,
Yeah, I know.
so all
People
the
don't know
parents-
that. It's like, I didn't have a cracked egg. No, you handled the shell. Dum dum. Sorry.
so yeah, all of the bacteria, it's really on the outside. So I cleaned this in. And I also did this practice.
So don't suck raw eggs, okay, unless you're a snake. It's a
Yeah,
snake.
please. So what you do is you take the egg, and it has to be a room temperature egg, not one that you keep in the fridge, because having it be room temperature means that it's going to collect that warmth. It's going to collect warmth that is going to uh, draw out everything else. So what you do is you set your intention that you're going to cleanse yourself, or you can cleanse whoever it is that you're working on. You start at the top of their head, and you just kind of rub it every which way. You just make sure, and it takes time, but make sure that you get the entire body, whether you're doing it on yourself, or whether you're doing it on a pet, on a family member.
I think you can do it with your clothes on too. But
You
you don't
can,
want to?
you can, yes. So as you're doing, if you have a prayer, if you have a chant that you want to use, anything to like really just remove it. So, and you can go any direction. I prefer going from the in outward. So it's like you're cleansing everything out, getting rid of it, top to bottom.
Don't drop the egg, guys.
Don't drop the egg just yet. What you do once you are finished rubbing it just all over yourself, and you can be pretty thorough. Just rub it all over yourself. Then what you do is you take that egg, and I'm not going to do it because this is just uh, kind of like a an example.
Because
So,
eggs are really expensive right now.
oh yes. So you take any particular just glass, as long as it's clear, and what you can do is, again, I didn't do it here because it's this is just an example. You can fill it, just give it like a generous portion of salt right on the bottom. I didn't do it here, but and then just fill it with water. After you have cleansed yourself with the egg, you drop the egg, you crack it. Make sure you don't get any of the white, any of it on yourself. Crack the egg and let it sit. Let it settle to the bottom of the glass.
What do you
Now,
do with the
here's
shells, though?
the shells. The shells you can actually discard. But the here's where the interesting thing comes in. What you're gonna do after that? You're gonna watch the egg. You're gonna watch the how it interacts with the water. So if you see that it's really filmy, if you see that it's really filmy, that means that you have just a lot of negativity or you have a clouded mind. If you see um, that bubbles form, if you see bubbles, and these can be big, this can be small, but if they are visible and they're not going away, that usually tells you that someone is working some kind of spell on you, or they are just very jealous or very envious, or they have what you know as the evil eye. They're just like kind of watching you. So that happens if the bubbles form on the surface. Now they can be small, they can be bigger. Just if you notice they're not going away. They're not going away. Then there's something there.
Mhm.
Also, if you see little, like, they call them needles that are like forming with the egg whites, they're like spikes that are just forming upward.
Mhm.
that tells you there is some work being done on you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Also, if you see the yolk itself, if there's like little strings of white that are coming out of the yolk, that'll tell you that it's actually working, that there's some negativity that you've drawn out of yourself. So there's that. If you notice that there is blood in the yolk, if there's any kind of red, excuse me, if there's any kind of red or discoloration, that usually is an indication that there is a health issue. There's a major health issue that you should
Yeah.
probably seek medical assistance for.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so there's a few other explanations, but there's also there's also the very rare occurrence where if you're looking at the egg itself when it's floating, it's also if it floats and if it settles, there are some different meanings to that. It's not coming to me right away, but
I think it's negativity all around you if it's under you. If it's floating up, it's like
right.
you may
Um,
be surrounded by it, you know.
yes. Also, if you examine it, and by the way, the best way to do this is to break the egg and let it sit for about 20 to 30 minutes. You'll see it start to form, or it may not be anything at all. Um, if you look at it carefully, you will be able to see who is actually working that magic on you. Whether it's through the forms that show up, or
Get an
if it be
impression.
like a reflection. Sorry,
You'll get an impression at
you
the
will
very
get an
least.
impression as to who is actually doing that working on you. So the best thing to do when you see that there is something working on you, that somebody's actually doing something, you want to get rid of that. You want to get rid of that right away. So, um, the most basic ingredient that you can put in this, throw some cayenne pepper in there.
Okay.
Throw
And you
some
put that
cayenne
right in
pepper.
the water?
What's that?
You put that right in the water?
Drop that right in the water. You're going to set that intention that whatever has been done on you, it's going to be sent back to them. It's going to for whoever is working on you. And
Okay.
of course, we're witches, so we want to add stuff to it. You can add some, you probably can't see it very well. You can add some back off oil. Even if you can't see who the person is, you see this, that something's working on you.
And we do carry that on our website. I don't know if we carry the backup, but I've got a lot of there's options if you need to order something. Just saying.
Um, I've also used the reverse oil. So
Versus
whatever it is that
first
they're
oils.
on
Yep.
you, you're gonna send that right back to them. Even if you can't see who's working on it, if you tend to hear stories of people that are, that you're connected to, people that you know, that suddenly they're going through some really nasty stuff, you kind of get that idea. Okay, now you understand who is actually trying to work that on you. And a lot of this is based on that feeling of greed, jealousy, or just any kind of malice that's being put towards you. Uh, that will actually help to cleanse that and send it back. So, um, and as far as any other Mexican um, traditions, you can also, of course, go to somebody who's a curandero, somebody who's a healer. In Mexico City, they will use different kinds of incense. They will use different forms of just kind of dispelling that. Uh, Sometimes it'll be kind of weird. You'll have this indigenous person just kind of yelling in your ear, but they're not yelling at you. They're yelling at whatever's in there, whatever's around you. They'll yell at that to get out. There's also asperging. They use, I'm not sure what kind of leaves they use, but they will dip that in their version of the holy water. They will spray that on you. Sometimes a little aggressively, but it also works. Lastly, they can also use a a conch, it, just a hollowed out conch. They will actually blow that, and that sound will be directly on you. And that's using that vibration, that's just that sound to like really shake everything off. So if you can find an indigenous person who actually knows how to work that, that's probably your best bet. If you are not in a position or location where you can actually find somebody who's a healer, this method will probably work for you. So, and outside of the Mexican tradition, I'm pretty sure when you have other items, other suggestions with this.
I do. I can tell you that the egg rolling tends to be a little more indigenous,
Hmm.
but you also have things like candle cleansing, which you burn a candle, image candle, you label it yourself. You start with a black candle and you burn it down, and then you build yourself back up with a white candle, and you can use like cleansing oil. And yes, just reiterating, we do carry all of this. We carry a lot of different types of oils that are already mixed, that are mixed properly on our website, which is avalonvisionsproducts.com. And those you can always order and put them, you can use them, drop them on the egg. I didn't know about the cayenne, but that just kind of does make sense. Now I have a question though before I go back to um, the more Celtic kinds of methods. Does it matter what kind of egg you use? Because I mean, fertile eggs sometimes have little yolk babies on them. Would it be better to use unfertile eggs for that, or does it matter? Or do you know? I mean, because some places, I think some things call for fertile egg and some not. I would think if you were pregnant, you want the fertile egg to cleanse out everything. But that's
Generally, generally, what I've understood, and the way that I always had it done is with an unfertilized, and you can
because you would
use
have that little yolk might be red otherwise.
right. So you can have
Although if it was a pregnant person, I would think you would want the fertile egg just because you're already fertile. You're doing it there.
and that's actually that's a good question. That's something we can probably come back to as
I'd
far
like
as
to research that. I never thought about that until just like at the moment because my image came to mind, and I'd research that if I.
yeah, see, that's actually more helpful than my thought, which was like if you really had some bad shit going on, use an ostrich egg. But yeah,
Well, yeah, I mean, you can use any egg. It doesn't have to be one you pick up in the supermarket. You can use
yeah,
a
no,
robin's egg.
it's not.
Either
It's
too.
a fertilized. I mean,
Probably.
it can be any kind of egg, um, white egg, brown egg.
Hmm.
Chicken, duck. Pretty sure there can be some other significance to that.
I kind of feel
I
like
never
an
really got
organic
in,
egg might be a good thing.
yeah. I never really gone into uh the specifics of that, but generally it's all going to be the same practice. So it just depends on what you feel drawn to, what you feel compelled to use, uh, and
Okay.
it should work out. It should work the same.
Now, there is one thing we forgot to tell them what to do with. What happens when you're done with that glass and you've thrown the cayenne pepper on it, and and you're sitting there with this unattractive mixture of Akapucky egg? I like the word
Yeah.
Akapucky today. What do you do with it when you are done?
So when you are done, when you've collected the information that you wanted to collect from it, um, and you feel like there's not much else that you've done, you could just flush that out. Take it to your toilet. Just absolutely have that intention that you are getting rid of that in the quickest way possible.
Okay.
Just dump it in the toilet, flush it out.
Um, being as how I live very close to the ocean,
Mhm.
and as long as it is not something that is toxic, I tend to like to toss it into the ocean, not because I wish to remove anything, but like I would probably take the whole thing and rinse it out and let the waves take it because Mother Earth will process anything out. I don't know if that's the best method. Like if you're inside, I don't know if you're living by a running stream, if that's something you would utilize to let the stream take it. Because if you can't throw it down the toilet and flush it, and symbolically, remember, it's about intent, right?
Mhm.
So, do you bury it? Then you're kind of hanging on to it. So I do like the running water thing. Toilets work pretty
Yeah.
good.
Um,
What do you
and
do with
and
the eggshell? You toss it. Okay.
yeah, if you think about it, I mean, this is a
Don't
tradition.
cook with it.
What's that?
Don't
No,
cook with it.
please don't. Yeah.
Don't.
Um, also, there's a really strange thing, and you can take it however you wish, but there are some that say that when you are observing the egg and the water, you don't look at it from the top. Do not look at it from the top. You look at it from the side. That's why you use a clear glass. You look at it from the side. It's believed that unless you have some sort of protection, which is why you use the salt, also, um, unless you have
It's
the
cool if
salt.
you have the salt in the water, but then again, I probably like to recurse myself.
Well, yeah, if you
Oh, that looks good. What is it?
yeah, if you have the salt in there, then it's up to you whether you want to take that chance and look at it from the top. Otherwise, I mean, there's no reason for you to do that because you could, if you have a clear glass, you can just observe anything that you need to from the side. So you're not opening that portal back to yourself. You're not aiming the shotgun back at yourself. So put it that way. So, but yeah, that's usually what you do. I think the idea is perfect. If you have running water, that's the idea to actually let it just wash away. So yeah, by a creek.
Toilet
Wash
is running
away.
water.
Yes.
So that is one that is, and it also gives you the visual of its
Yeah,
going
exactly.
away. So I mean, if you're in an apartment in New York City, flush it down the toilet. It's not going to really do anything to anybody down the line because that's where all the gross stuff goes, right? So
Exactly. All right. So what else have you got for us, Gwen? You've got other methods, which I think we kind of talked about that with the sage and the palo santo. What else do you recommend? And what
I
about maintaining it? What about maintaining
well
that?
let's I mean we can go. I think we're probably going to run shy on time to go through more of the cleansing things. But I'd like to visit a little bit of the candle burning, maybe next week because as I was saying, one of the things that I like to do is a kind of a lengthy practice of kind of image candling where you burn about an inch a night, or as long as you can stay awake, but you kind of sit and watch it. So it's kind of like a little more intense, gets rid of a lot though. And that's on more of on oneself. And you don't do this unless on someone else unless you have their permission. For maintaining, you want to just, like I said, like here we just kind of go around with like a leaf and we just burn a leaf and keep on going. Um, when when is it a good time to do this stuff? You go to a political rally, it's so full of people that are very stressed, right? We're all doing these rallies now because we know as people that are in these practices that we do not need to be living under certain premises and become crispy critters because someone has decided to burn us at the stake again. So, I would say go into court, smudge yourself. Some people smudge before and after they leave, before they leave the house. And they put on oils, essential oils, to have their protection in place. And then afterwards, if you are investigating a haunted house, you should smudge yourself before you leave the property, before you leave your house, and before you leave the property, or right after you're off, before you get in your car.
Mhm.
Because you can drag these things home with you, and people do. So it's a good, like, oh, just go Central, come and visit. Yeah, okay, go Central, come and visit, and don't do that here, folks. It's like, hi, we're doing a rave. Here's my Ouija board. Let's talk about a rave. Everything in the neighborhood, come on down. So, I mean, you want to protect yourself after the fact. So if you only have Palo Santo, great. If you have a little sage, good thing. If you have some oils, frankincense, some of these nice high vibrations, you don't have those, but you found some protection oil at your local five and dime, I'm worth it. Go for it. Buy it. Put it on. It's a good idea. Rosemary's another good tool too. Rosemary's another, you can dip rosemary in water and cleanse yourself, and you don't even have to light it up if you can't light a fire. So these are things that you want to have around you. And you can carry stones. So let's talk about the stone of the week. On my website, if you cannot find it anywhere, you can see that we have the stone of the week. And what is it? Labradorite. This particular one is on sale. Well, actually, all my crystals are on sale till the end of this month. I put them back on sale. And what are they? 20% off. That's it. So you can buy a nice palm-sized labradorite for that amount. Or you can, let me remove that from the stage, you can come to the shop and you can buy a really big slab of lab. Look at that flash on there. I don't know if you can see this, but it's really a pretty piece. This is a bookend, and it is for sale. And at the moment, I have no idea how much it is because I cannot read it because it is, oopsie, sort of on my, it's not as easy to see in because it's dark in here, and I've got a nice little label. So a piece like this will set you back around, how much is that? Oh my goodness. About $128. This has got a really good cover. We have it at the shop. I don't have this online, but we have it at the shop. You should expect to pay about $125 for that. And then we have this one, which is a really pretty heart-shaped one. You can kind of see the flash. And this one is about $158. This is a heart. So labradorite in a space is also something, stones and spaces. And why are we doing stones of the week? Because they all have purposes, okay? And if you want to maintain your space, putting selenite, I think, did we cover selenite? Yeah, putting things that help bring good juice into your space, it's a good thing. So here's my little page on labradorite. It's mystical, it's protective, it brings light, it brings consciousness, it reverses, connects us with universal energies, deflects unwanted energies from the aura, prevents energy leakage, forms a barrier to negative energies shed during therapy. So like if you're a therapist, it's good to put on your table. It can take you into another world or other lives, and so on. It helps align your etheric body. I mean, and there are actually some different colors of labradorite. Specifically, I think there's a yellow labradorite. We don't really see that normally. You see like blue. It's very iridescent, so it has like layers to it. It's a beautiful stone. And one of the things that all stones do is, like, spheres kind of send the energy around the room. Palm stones can be good when you just, if you just want to rub something and keep it close to you. But you don't need a big, this is a big piece, but you can get a little piece. Some people have labradorite pendulums or pendants. It's all protective. It's part of why jewelry is valuable to people. It's because it all carries certain protective energies. I really like this one. I actually have a much bigger one. There, you see the flash there. There you go. That's the flash. Labradorite flashes. Let me see if I hold this one back this far. Hold on here. See if I can get that to flash. You can see it kind of has different colors. You get a blue green and you get different shades. It can go from a very, very, very peacocky color of blue to this more kind of green or very light tones. Sometimes labradorite's very almost kind of almost a beigey green color. It's there are some beautiful, beautiful pieces in the world, and it's a gentle stone. And we're just going to talk about that because that stone is one of my favorites. If you come to the store and you buy a piece of labradorite or any other stone, I like to have people walk outside and look at it in the light if it's a sunny day, because you don't see the properties unless you really see it under actual sunlight. It's a very pretty stone. I love labradorite. Do you have some labradorite, don't you, Joe?
I might. I know I have a collection of
Oh,
some.
well, we have to set you up with some. Then come. See what I have in the store.
Yeah. Once again, I mean, if you guys haven't been down to Avalon Visions, you really got to go check it out. I say it every week. It's really, really an amazing little shop. It's also really a great little place to hang out. So go talk to Gwen. go talk to Gwen. Go explore. See what else.
Only here.
And I mean, you've got that. You've got the stones. You've got books. You've got tarot. You've got clothing lines. All this awesome good stuff. So yeah, if you guys get a chance, go down there. So I think this is gonna wrap it up for this week.
I think it is.
Tune in next week, you guys, when we are gonna be talking about the one other little or big aspect of the craft that rarely gets talked about. We're gonna be talking about our familiars. So,
And have I got some cat stories for you?
Oh yeah. So next week we're going to be covering familiars, how to identify them, what they mean to us as far as the symbolism, as far as who they are as family, because they're never just pets. There's a difference with that. So yeah, that'll be our topic for next week. So make sure you guys tune in. Thank you guys. As always, please give us a like. Go check us out on YouTube. Drop a like.
Thewitchescraft.com. Thewitchescraft.com is the website. If you can't find it on YouTube, there's a link. There's also a link from avalonvisions.com to the media page and that's another place to do it. And if you're seeing this on Facebook, please like us and follow us on the Witches Craft page, because that way we can broadcast directly to it. In case you're seeing it on Avalon Visions and you like it, do that.
We are this close, you guys, this close to being able to just broadcast live on Facebook. So if we can just send out the word, have people check us out, get some more followers, and we'll be able to do that live. So we'd really appreciate that. Also, last thing, if you guys have anything that you want us to talk about, anything that you want us to cover, anything that we might have made a mistake on, let us know, or anything that we missed, just let us know in the comments. Please let us know what direction you would like us to take, and I promise you, Gwen promises you, we will take on that. We will cover what it is that you guys want to know about. Mm-hmm. We love you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
Ciao.